Bossalicious. I'll crank this up and revisit a place you've been before. Attribution modeling. Attribution modeling? Attribution modeling! Damn right, Jim Kolevik. Let's talk about attribution modeling. See, this is something that is actually quite difficult. The most easy thing to start, if you want to do attribution, when I talk to marketing managers, most of the people have the question about how do we actually weigh different channels against each other? How do we actually measure what channel we should attribute this sale to?
13 years ago, this guy called Avinash Kausik,
I don't know how if I'm pronouncing that the right way, but
he helped us by putting this into 3 different buckets.
and it sort of gave us a way in which, or a framework that inspired every single one of us, I think. And it included 3 perspectives of looking at, or 3 like buckets of attribution modeling. So there are essentially 3 ways in which you can do this. And they all have their own abbreviation. Online to store, and then there was across multiple screens, and then there was across digital channels. Either way, those 3 ways require their own set of modeling. So if you want to know, for example, how much the offline store gets from your online advertising, for example, that needs its own research, and you can actually model that using scientific models, or at least semi-scientific models. I have a couple of case studies that I'm gonna link. For the multi-screen version, it's very difficult to measure. There are a lot of tools out there, but this is not my expertise at all. I don't know actually how to build good and reliant multi-screen attribution models. I'm simply not good at that. And so it requires a person who has a very technical understanding of how servers and user IDs and such things actually work. And so it's essentially a situation where you have to be logged in all the time somewhere in order to be able to actually know if it's the same exact user from one device to a second device to a third device. And they do pairing and things like that, which might do work in some statistical modeling, but that's very difficult. And at least for me, it's very difficult to know whether or not you can do attribution across screens. So I don't want to do that, like TV to However, the third kind of model is when you're looking at across several digital channels. This one we will go into in depth in this one. The most easy thing to start, if you want to do attribution, when I talk to marketing managers, most of the people have the question about how do we actually weigh different channels against each other. How do we actually measure what channel we should attribute this sale to? I'm not saying that you should remove your gut feel or that you should remove your intuition. The intuition and gut feel is very much a part of shaping and creating your attribution model. It's actually, the basis for the assumptions and the biases that you put in, because you go, I believe that. And what you do then is you go out and test it, and you see whether or not you're right or wrong. And if you're wrong, you change it, and then you change it, and then you change it, until you are there with the attribution model that actually works and delivers a bang for the buck. And it's very possible when you're looking at several different digital channels. Just using Google Analytics, just using the free version of Google Analytics even, you can do this. So no one has an excuse not to do this, and everyone who is not doing this is wasting a lot of money or losing a lot of potential. And so, let's have a look at the different types of models.
The first one is the last click interaction, or the last interaction model. This is worthless. You shouldn't do it, because that's just not how the internet works these days. People come from many different sources, and they will you come to you several different times before they convert. And if you attribute all the value to the last click, then you're just being dumb, and then you will lose a lot of potential. So don't use this. The second one is first interaction model, and that one is actually a lot better because now you're taking care of all the new traffic that you haven't met you yet. So if you attribute all of your budget or all your channels and you try to attribute all of your conversion value to the first interaction, it's not correct, but it is at least better than to have it all in the last one. And here at least you're trying to build some kind of momentum, trying to build some brand, but it's not what I would recommend that you do. Then there is the linear model, and the linear model, it attributes value to all of the different channels equally that a person has come from the first to the second to the third to the to the last. And so it's like when the user comes in to the website, and then goes away, and then comes in through social media, and then goes away, and then comes in through pay-per-click, and then comes back, and then they make the buy through a direct visit. Then what this says is that it attributes all of the conversion equally across the channels. And then we have the time decay, which is attributing value depending upon if it was close to the conversion in time, and so it goes back in time back to the first interaction, which was maybe a long time ago. This one is not, I wouldn't recommend this one either, because that doesn't hold true for many sectors. What you should do is what I would, if you would just want to take one out of the box, I would take the position-based model, because it takes care of the two most important interactions, which is the first and the last click, and then you attribute most value to those two. It's the discovery phase, and then it's the actual decision situation. What the position-based model does is that it takes and attributes 40% to both the first and the last interaction, and that will help you a great deal in trying to figure out which channels actually contribute to your online growth. Now, I like to do these models and create them, so I try to figure out what kind of business you're in, what you're trying to do, and where you are in terms of your growth, if you are in a saturated market or in a fast-growing market, or what you are. And then we try to assign the right kind of balance between the different channels, first interaction to last. And so your model can look at, it can look exactly the way that you want to. You can just you go like that, and you go like this, and then you go, you can do whatever you want to. See, I'm keynote designing again, but you get the point. And so now I'm gonna show you in Google Analytics how you can actually set your own model up. And when you want to create your own attribution model, you go into Google Analytics, just like here right now, and you go under conversions, you go to attribution and model comparison tool. What you do now is that you click, you can find all of those that I just talked about. You can find them here, the time decay, linear, first interaction, last interaction, right? Now you want to create your own one here. So how should you actually calibrate it so that it meets the needs of your company? Well, there are two supporting reports that you can use in order to do this. So the first thing you do is you hit select model, and then you go all the way down here and you hit create new custom model, that little link down there. Now you give the model a name, and you give it your name, like Jasper's Supreme Attribution Model, right? And you probably start not from linear, but from something like a position-based one. So what should you weigh? Like, how should you weigh these different? Like, is the first interaction more important than the last interaction? Is the middle interactions more important than the first and the last? What is really important here? Well, this question you can answer by going into a report called under conversion. There is multi-channel funnels, and there's top conversion paths. If you click that, what you can find is this. You can find the most common paths here. You can see the most common path before a conversion here is that someone searched from organic, and then they come direct, meaning that they found me through search, and then they come back by typing my name or my URL into their URL field up here, or they just type the first three letters, and then Chrome helped them autocomplete, which is the most common case, and then they converted. And then we have some direct here, and then organic search, referral, and direct. And then when we come down here, it becomes more complicated, more different. As you can see here, the more conversions that we're talking about and the more granular it gets. So how do I weigh this? Well, I say that if you have a lot of direct traffic in the last bit here, that means that people have remembered your brand name. So they're using the type bar here to come back to you for some reason. They have found some kind of utility to come back to you directly. What I do then is that I weigh the last interaction very lightly, because they remember me, so they will come back. So I give this like 20%. Then for the middle one, then I look at the width of like how many consideration points do they need. And in this case, these are a lot, but for the most common ones up here, it's not that many steps that they go back and forth. They don't have to consider that many steps. It's just when you get down here, and then it's just one conversion per path. So then I give that a little bit of a lighter touch. So when I'm here, I might give that 20% as well. But then when I look at in the beginning here, I see a lot of different sources that start this. Well, these are all direct, but here we go. A lot of different sources, and we'll have a couple more pages with different sources to start it off, especially if you have like a display or organic search or something like that is in the first here. Then what you do is you weigh the first interaction, because like they need to find you, but when they find you, they will come back directly. So then you give that the most weight. And then, of course, if it's the opposite way around, you have pay-per-click or something that is the last interaction, then you weigh the last interaction more, but you don't give it all the value. Then the look back window here, you open that up. How many days should you look back to estimate whether or not this is a good or a bad model? Well, you have a look here in how many days is it between they come to your website the first time, 0 times and convert at the same time, and till the last one here. And I usually set this up to 14, 15 days if it's not like a really weird one where we have a lot of conversions all over the month. Then I might put it longer. But it's always better to put it longer than to put it shorter. But this one is way too long, so I might put it, 30 days. Actually, I'm going to put it down. I'm going to put it to 15 days, because as you can see, most of the people, they convert right away or within 15 days. And then I have 104 here who are very late at converting. Then adjust credit based on user engagement. Well, you can do this time on site if that is important to you, or page depth, meaning how many pages they click on your website. And then if the traffic does something of this, then that is way more than otherwise. I usually, depending upon what website I work with, I'm gonna do one or the other. In this case, I would do time on site because I have a blog, and so people will spend a lot of time there, and I want to weigh those more because they are more likely to come back because they found something valuable. Then apply custom credit rules, and here you can give them a lot of different kind of rules. Now, if you have an adjusted bounce rate, meaning that you've set some kind of event that happens after 30 seconds onto the page, then what I usually do is that I put a bounce rate and I set that to value 0, so that it removes all the value from that specific source. So if I buy a lot of traffic and it only gives me, let's see here, bounce visit exactly matching, I give that 0, right? Because that's not worth anything to me. You can play around with this and set your own weights and then save and apply. That's how you create your own attribution model. What I want to say with this is that if you have a hypothesis that your last click interaction was a good model, but then you come up with a better estimate of how your traffic really behaves, then you will see how you need to change your media spend in order to make this new model work. So that's how you actually set it up. And that was that, I guess. So if you like this video, then hit the like button. That helps a lot with the visibility. Or don't. Hit the downwards button if you don't like it. If you think that I am doing something wrong, write in the comments. If you do think that I'm doing something right, then share this with a friend. Do whatever you want to do. I think this is fun. I will continue doing this, and you have a good day. Peace.